Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about some massive news in regards to the DCTV Batman. So this is coming from my good friend Andy, who runs the Multiverse of Color and Showrunner Talk, links in the description below. But for now, if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. So I've been doing facecam videos in the last couple of days. Those will come back, but I'm just making this one short video because I got a big video coming hopefully tomorrow that I've just recorded. So keeping this simple, going with the basic voice overlay, but this is some exciting news, guys, and it's a little bit bittersweet at the same time, talking about this specific piece of news coming from my friend Andy, Multiverse of Color, link in the description below. You can go check out this article, and I'm sure there is much more to come from Andy with his talk with the ex-showrunner of Gotham Knights. So the title of the article is Exclusive Gotham Knights Showrunners Reveal Kevin Conroy almost played live-action Batman for a pivotal episode. Okay, so the article is by Andy and Vanessa Young. So this is how it goes. Over a year ago, Multiverse of Color broke the story that the CW's Gotham Knights TV show was very close to landing none other than Supernatural and The Boys' own Jensen Ackles as Batman. Misha Collins revealed in an exclusive interview to tell us he had attempted to bring on his former co-star as the Cape Crusader. So I reported on that back when that came out. Maybe some of you guys watching this video will remember that came from the same source. And so they go on to say, while Gotham Knights sadly only ran for a season in the midst of the changes at the CW, there was almost a reality where another iconic actor could have portrayed Batman in the series, and it's one who is no stranger to the Dark Knight. So on the latest episode of the Showrunner Whisperer, which is the show that Andy runs, he talks to different DCTV showrunners and talks about, you know, what happened in the past. There was a show recently where he talked to the showrunner of Swamp Thing. He also talked to the Legends showrunner at one point. So you can check out all those podcasts, those interviews, because they are really great. And so the featured guests for this installment were none other than Gotham Knights co-showrunners James and Chad. And so those are the two showrunners who revealed some of the plans that they weren't able to get to for a number of reasons. So James said this: one of the things that I don't know if we've quite exactly talked about is that we were given permission for one episode to be able to use Batman for Gotham Knights. Like a full suited Batman, said Chad. So that is insane, because James goes on to say, there was a scene from The Dark Knight Returns that we wanted to do. It was Robin's audition sides. From the interaction between her and Batman, everyone loved the scene, and we felt it was important to Robin's backstory to show this meeting, so it would have been a scene in the past. And it was one of those things where initially there was a bit of reluctance for that, but our executives really fought and said, look, I think this is the perfect setup, and the way to do this, you get this one scene you can do. And so they got full permission to use a fully suited Batman for that one episode, for that one scene that was a callback to The Dark Knight Returns, and you would see the kind of origin of Robin and see that relationship between Batman and Robin in Gotham Knights. Now, obviously that is not a real thing because it never actually happened, and that's because, you know, I guess circumstances led to it, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But I think it's just really good that they got that permission. So there clearly was some trust in Gotham Knights, and I think just the regime change at the CW when Gotham Knights was coming to be really just didn't help the show. It only had one season. I'm sure it would have had many other seasons if the CW was like the CW of the old. But with Nexstar in charge, they were never going to give it the light of day like any more than just this season, because it was just sadly a waste of money for them. And so they got that permission to use a fully suited Batman. But the article continues by saying, however, who would have played their version of Batman in that Gotham Knights episode had they gone forward? ? That is when the two showrunners revealed that their original plans was to have none other than the iconic voice actor of Batman, Kevin Conroy, who has voiced and portrayed the DC icon for decades prior to his tragic passing in 2022, just 2 years ago, after having also played a version of Bruce in Arrowverse's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. That's when we actually saw him. We saw his version of Bruce. We didn't see him fully suited up in a bat suit. He was wearing this kind of weird suit in Crisis. Marking the first time he got the jump into the world of live action, the Gotham Knights duo had plans to feature Conroy as an older Batman in this continuity, maybe lining up with that Crisis continuity, confirming maybe Gotham Knights was part of that universe, as the co-showrunners, being passionate fans themselves, saw the beloved actor as a perfect fit to take on their superhero. So yeah, let's break this down, let's talk about this. So Kevin Conroy was Gotham Knights' choice for the Batman. Chad went on to say, we were also very clear with the fact that this is a flashback and this Bruce Wayne / Batman is dead in this universe, as Gotham Knights did explain, and they set up pretty early on in the show, but Carrie talks about it in the show, or at least alludes to it. We were very clear that this is not going to become the Carrie / Batman show. We weren't trying to do an in-run or anything. It was very much part of our history, but it's going to stay there in the history. So they're adamant it would have been just that one scene, a flashback. That's what they got permission to do. You would have seen Batman in the suit. You would have seen Kevin Conroy if that was ever going to happen. And so James goes on to say, it's one of those things where they gave us permission, and then unfortunately, who would have played the role, it's just sort of devastating, was Kevin Conroy. But he was too sick at that point. So they had already asked him, or I guess in their mind, you know, they thought, okay, who's my favorite Batman? It's Kevin Conroy. Would be great to finally see him like in a bat suit in live action. Yeah, we saw him in Crisis, but we didn't actually see him fully suited up in a bat suit. And so James continues by saying, he was always my favorite Batman. And I have to say, I completely agree. Like, I just love Kevin Conroy in Batman, the animated series, and all the other many projects he voiced Batman for. And so we were dealing with an older Batman, says James. You can still see in some of the DNA of the things, like for the pilot we used a photo double, and it's not quite an accident that the photo double looks a lot like Kevin. So they were planting those seeds early on, and they say that was very much intentional. It was one of those things where we just weren't able to do it, but we wanted to do it. So we didn't want to just do this with a random person. We felt it was very important to have somebody of Kevin's stature and somebody that had this gravitas, and obviously he was the right age for that, for the kind of type of Batman that they were going for. That was initially the plan, and it was obviously very sad that he died, but we didn't want to do it just by slotting somebody in there. It had to be someone as important, as big in DC history as Kevin. And so he laughs. Misha Collins was trying to bring in Jensen Ackles at the time, which would have been awesome, but ultimately it was one of those things where we wanted it to be impactful, and we wanted it to be someone that had a lot of gravitas, which is kind of a dig at Jensen, if I'm being honest here, because I think he would have been great as Batman. But if we weren't able to pull that off, talking about Kevin here, we didn't want to do it, and that's why that never ended up happening. But DC was really terrific about trying to help us make that happen. So Chad then interjects and says, we had the scene, that was the audition side, as you mentioned, and I was like, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen. Unfortunately, it didn't, but not because DC wasn't on board. They loved the scene and everything. It was just a lot of things that I wish we could have made happen. It goes without saying that Conroy has and will always be one of the biggest hearts of the Batman legacy, and this is Andy and his co-writer talking here. From his unforgettable journey in Batman the Animated Series, the larger Bruce Timm DC Universe, and many other projects that he was involved in, he was such a crucial part of building Batman's status in animation and in many other mediums. And so, as previously reported, Conroy passed away from a battle with intestinal cancer. So in the article you can find links and explanations for different cancer funds and foundations, so check that out, guys. But yeah, there is a whole video where you can watch the showrunner Whisperer where they talk about all of this. It's available on YouTube right now, so link will be in the description. It's only part 1 of the interview. Part 2 I guess will be out sometime soon. But yeah, this is a great conversation that they had with the two showrunners of Gotham Knights. Gives us a good insight into the potential DCTV Batman that we could have got, and they were allowed to do it, so that would have been great. And obviously I'm a huge Kevin Conroy fan, so I would have been so into the idea of him coming back to the Arrowverse. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, he did have a part to play in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but that scene wasn't too long, and at least it still was a thing. So we did get Kevin in live action, Kevin in the Arrowverse, but it would have been even better to get him involved in Gotham Knights. And despite me not being a big fan of Gotham Knights myself and not fully getting into the show, but I guess that was just due to the fact that so many of our shows were going down the drain at the same point when Gotham Knights was coming a thing. It just felt like this was the wrong time totally for this show to come and try and be a new thing. It just never was going to get past season 1 with this regime at the CW that came in. So yeah, I mean, it's really sad when you talk about all of this, and obviously the fact that Kevin Conroy passed away before they could actually get him on board, but that was something that they really tried for, and I appreciate that, you know, they understood the stature of Kevin and his relationship to Batman. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos, and you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. But for now, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.